on Sports Tonight. Daniel Saifidi replaced by his brother Jacob Saifidi in the New South Wales Blues, following Newcastle's 24-16 win over the Warriors. Plus, we'll have the highlights of the Newcastle Rugby League and the Hunters NPL men's and women's competition as well. Good afternoon, I'm Conklin McLeod and welcome to Sports Tonight. And of course, those stories in a minute. But first, the coach Joey DeDazzle is excited to see what the the Hunter Wildfires can achieve this season after the women had a gutsy 28-19 win over the Eastern Suburbs in round 4 of the Jack Scott Cup at Wallawara Oval on Saturday. The Wildfires showed plenty of grit as they endured a testing 10-minute period in the second half, reduced to 14 players after Greta Smith was sent to the sin bin. The Hunter led 21-7 before the centre was issued a yellow card, and East scored twice while she was off to trail 21-19 with around 5 minutes remaining. But Wildfire's fullback Danielle Buttsworth produced a try at the death, her second for the match, to seal the victory. And of course, Emily Freeman and Shana Povey Hyatt also scored tries in the Wildfires win, which is their third from 4 outings. They only have Gordon to play before the Sydney Women's Premier Rugby Union competition reaches its midpoint. The Wildfires have only lost to Sydney Uni, now have 2 weekends off before facing Gordon. The surfing and Mayweather's Jackson Baker will face Japan's Kanoa Igarashi in an elimination round heat after losing his opener at G-Land in Indonesia on Saturday. Baker, who narrowly made the mid-season cut to continue his rookie season on the championship tour, faced countryman Jack Robinson and 11-time world champion Kelly Slater on Saturday in his seeding round heat. Baker caught just 2 waves, earning scores of 2.67 and 4.5 to trail Robinson and Slater, who moved directly into the round of 16. The powerful natural footer putting gouging backhand carves on his highest scored ride, but both of his waves lacked the length of his rival's efforts. A late day was called on Sunday. Meanwhile, Nathan Zinner and Kofi Johnson both bagged doubles to help Souths to a 2-goal victory over Gosford in Hunter Coast Premier League hockey on Sunday. The Newcastle side were 6-4 winners at the Wyon Fields, a victory that followed their loss to Norths on Friday night. Norths beated University 5-0 in their only other fixture played on Sunday. Meanwhile, in the Women's Premier League, Bianca Cheatham's brace helped the Tigers defeat the Oxfords 3-2 in a close fought top-the-table clash, while Kirsten Drysdale set up all three Tigers goals. The other scored by Katie Hammett. South beat Gosford 3-0, while the Regals defeated University 3-0, and Central outclassed Norah Head 4-1 on the Central Coast. Now to our main top story, and of course, an knee injury that is called Daniel Saifiti's State of Origin Dreams has created a vacancy for his twin brother Jacob to potentially fill on his New South Wales debut. Daniel was replaced midway through the first half of Saturday's 24-16 win against the Warriors at Redcliffe and did not return. He was reported to have suffered a high-grade medial ligament strain that could sideline him for a month or more. His setback came 24 hours before the Blues were due to name their team for this year's Interstate Series opener at Accor Stadium in Sydney on Wednesday week. In his absence, his fellow twin, Tara Jacob, travelled to Sydney on Sunday to join the extended Blues squad alongside fellow Newcastle back rower, 14-game Origin veteran Tyson Frizzell. Meanwhile, New South Wales coach Brad Fittler is an unabashed fan of Daniel Saifiti, who has played in 7 Origins and helped the Blues win 2 series. A big game against the Warriors might well have sealed a spot in New South Wales' engine room rotation for Game 1 in the series. Instead, he lasted only 23 minutes and was replaced soon after hurting himself making a desperate try-saving tackle on Warriors halfback Sean Johnson. Meanwhile, the Knights produced an awful start, conceding soft tries to centre Adam Pompey and Viliami Villau to try 10-0 as the Warriors were leading after only 9 minutes. Then the Knights recovered to level the score at 12-all shortly before half-time, then clinched hard-fought victory with 2 Anawi Tuala tries in the second half. To Newcastle Rugby League, and they're the only side to have beaten at Maitland in a year, but Macquarie still have a long way to go in the eyes of coach Stephen Kidd. The Scorpions ended the Pickers' undefeated run that dated back to round 4 last season with a gritty 21-20 win at home on Saturday. If Newcastle Rugby League is something that you need, and it certainly is, and of course it was a hard-fought triumph on a mud-caked ground that Kidd described as a nice reward for his players' effort this season. But of course, he said the scoreline showed his side still had plenty of work to do. And of course, Maitland led 6-4, while Macquarie had a fight back, tying it at 6-all. Then, the Scorpions scored a try. And of course, the Scorpions knew what they had to do. It was time to score a try, with Macquarie scoring 12-6. It was just fantastic for Macquarie, who were just too good for their rivals right throughout the game. It was just marvellous for the Scorps, scoring right at home, and then kicking goals as well. 18-6. And of course, right on to the second half, which was the last half, it was just a spectacular one for the Scorps, who were just too good. Then Macquarie had a 20-6 win, and then Maitland came back with a fight back to secure a penalty. Then later a comeback to quickly tie it in 20-all. And of course, Maitland's comeback all but started, with the Pickers quickly starting it all. But it wasn't long before another penalty quickly started it all. And of course, Maitland added another penalty to their knees. And of course, they had to level it by 2. Then Macquarie knew what to do. Right in the final few minutes, they kicked a spectacular field goal, winning the match 21 points to 20. And it was by 1 point.
Royal blue jersey with the red trim.
Meanwhile, the other games proved too good, and of course, Curry was doing really good right up at home in the Hunter, and of course, they were too good for the Wyong Roos, defeating them 12 points to 10. And of course, Curry were Curry started it off with the try scoring by scoring one of the best tries, and then the later converted it with an incredible goal, which is unsuccessful before they had to have a penalty. Then Wyong had a fight back. And of course, Wyong had a comeback, as well as a fight back.
Hannigan, easy as you like in the end. Looked like he had no hope of getting to the line. Wyong on the advance.
6-all. And of course, the comeback for Wyong was actually a fight back.
Now we go to the right. Hannigan to Sharp. Sharp to Henry.
Wyong led 10 points to 6.
Powers over in the right corner here. And in the shadows of half-time, the Wyong Roos have seized the lead.
Thankfully, right up at the second half, Curry knew what to do right in the dying minutes of the second half, which is the last one. They scored the match-winning try with Curry winning the match 12 points to 10. It was all thanks to a match-winning goal.
They kicked the an opportunity to take the lead,
and it certainly was.
20 in from touch, he's taken it back about 13 metres. Opportunity to take the lead for the Curry Bulldogs. Just a little sandwich.
12-10 is what it was, as Curry won the match. But meanwhile, the other game was, of course, South Newcastle versus Western Suburbs. And of course, Western Suburbs started the try-scoring season earlier and kicked one of the best goals of all to start it 6-0. And of course, their try-scoring matches continue. And of course, the Rosellas scored 10-0. But then, South Newcastle knew what to do, as the Lions had to quickly score right in the second half. Then, it was all in the good views, and for good reasons, South scored their second try. Then, later, Wyong scored their first. Sorry. Then later, South Newcastle scored their third try, right up in the game. That, of course, led to South Newcastle winning the match, 16 points to 10. And of course, South Newcastle won at home. With South Newcastle winning the match, 16 points to 10. And of course, the siren had to be wrapped up. South Newcastle 16, Western Suburbs 10. Meanwhile, the last one came above when the Cessnock Goannas took on the Central Newcastle Butcher Boys. And of course, it was right up in Cessnock in the Hunter. But also, Cessnock were the good favourites to quickly secure a win. And because of that, Cessnock secured the first try of the afternoon. Cessnock scored first, followed by Central Newcastle next. Central Newcastle led by 2, then scored more. But it wasn't long before Cessnock fought back. It was a play on. But Cessnock, however, had to have a fight back as well as a comeback as well, right in both the first and second half. The second half was strong for Cessnock, with the Goannas securing one of the best reasons of all, scoring try after try. They had to stop the Butcher Boys from winning. And also, Cessnock were treating the Butcher Boys like flies, as Cessnock secured one of the best victories of all. And plus Cessnock knew what they were doing. And of course, with Cessnock on 38 points, Central on 18, but not for long. The Goannas were on a good fight back. Central were in decline, Cessnock were not. Cessnock scored one of their best tries to secure the 38-22 win. Let's have a quick look at the ladder, and of course, Maitland are in first, and the Macquarie Scorpions are in second. South Newcastle are in second, and Cessnock are in fourth. And of course, Central Newcastle are in fifth, while Wyong are in sixth, and the entrants are in seventh. And of course, Curry has moved up. Curry has moved up to eighth. And of course, Lakes United are in ninth. And of course, the Western Suburbs are still winless this season. Let's go to the Hunters NPL men's competition, and of course, Valentine produced a 1-0 win over Edgeworth, and it was huge for Valentine, who were too strong for their rivals right throughout the game. And also, it was incredible for Valentine, which was just the best. But later, on Sunday, Broadmeadow went to the top of the table with a 5-0 win over Lake Macquarie up at Magic Park. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Newcastle Olympic came back to score a 2-2 draw up at Western, despite having a player and coach Joel Griffiths sent off. And of course, Olympic led in the 7th minute, but however, the match turned in the 25th when Malik Tom was red carded for striking Zach Shedden moments after the Bears defender fouled him. Meanwhile, Western striker Mustafa Mohammed equalised in the 36th minute with a clever dinked shot as they led in the 52nd with Paul Shawey's thunderous 25th metre strike. Griffiths was sent off on 67 minutes for dissent, but his side rallied to get the equaliser in the 74th when Declan Hughes knocked in a cross fumbled by Zissis. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Bailey Newton scored all of Cookshill's goals in a 4-3 victory against Adamstown. And of course, the match between Maitland and Lambton was called off. To the women's, and of course, Newcastle Olympics secured into 5th place with a 4-2 win over Warners Bay. While Adamstown have slipped into 6th after losing to Charlestown 3-1. It was hard for Warners Bay, who couldn't produce a win, but however Charlestown took a 2-0 lead right throughout the game. And of course, it was just incredible. And of course, meanwhile, Charlestown, meanwhile, Charlestown improved to 16 points in 3rd place with their victory at Lake Macquarie Regional Football, putting 6 points between themselves and Adamstown. Meanwhile, the Azuris set up the win with a strong start. Meanwhile, Josie Morley kept the Rosebud in the game when she scored with a wild-time header from a corner in the 29th. Meanwhile, the round 10 match between Maitland and Broadmeadow Magic at Cook's Square Park was postponed due to a wet ground. Meanwhile, the Mid-Coast recorded back-to-back wins against New Lambton over the weekend. Mid-Coast recorded 3-1 in a rescheduled round 3 game in Taree on Saturday, then 3-0 at Albert Park on Sunday. Meanwhile, to local hockey, and of course, it was just marvelous for both Souths and Norths as they defeated Gosford and University on Sunday, and it was in the Hunter Coast Premier League hockey. And of course, the Newcastle side were too good up in Wyon 6-4. And of course, the other one, Norths defeating University 5-0. But in the women's, Souths beat Gosford 3-0, while the Regals defeated University 3-0 as well, while Central outclassed Norhead. The basketball and the Newcastle Falcons had a mixed result, with the men securing back-to-back wins over Albury right up at the basketball stadium and also right up against Manly. But however, the Falcons women's side lost. But also, there was good news for the Maitland Mustangs. They secured a huge victory right up at home in the Hunter Valley over the weekend. Meanwhile, to the Hunter Rugby, of course, um, and of course, Hamilton were too strong for their rivals, 34-19, and of course, Merewether Carlton had the bye. In the other games, University had a win over the Southern Beaches. Also, Maitland outgunned Singleton, while Nelson Bay secured a win over Lake Macquarie. Meanwhile, local netball came back over the weekend after a week break, and because of that, Souths remain the only unbeaten team in the Newcastle championship after taking maximum points from a weekend doubleheader. The Lions overcame BNC Wanu 81-24 in round 7 on Saturday, and then downed West League's Balance 48-39 on Sunday. Meanwhile, West secured a 41-35 win over Inner Glow on Saturday. They were behind at every break on Sunday. Meanwhile, the University of Newcastle also took 2 wins. They were down at every break before beating the Nova Thunder 52-42 on Saturday. They were comfortable winners, 55-19 over Inner Glow. Meanwhile, the Thunder bounced back from their loss to defeat Katara South 71-44 on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Tigers had downed Junction 58-46 on Saturday, while BNC forfeited their match with Junction on Sunday. To the Black Diamond Cup, and of course it's the local AFL in the Hunter Central Coast, and of course Trevor Sherrin booted 9 of his side's 22 goals as the Cardiff Hawks claimed a huge 134-point win over the Maitland Saints on Saturday. And of course, embracing in the Sir Doug Nichols round, the AFL initiative that celebrates Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander players and their cultures, Cardiff dominated from start to finish at Pasterfield Sports Complex at Cameron Park, but a stunned Maitland struggled to make any inroads. Managing only a goal either side of half-time. Meanwhile, Kalani Vale's undefeated run continues after defeating Singleton 90 points to 33. Meanwhile, in a massive close contest, Newcastle City defeated Warners Bay. And of course, Kalani Vale are right behind. Of course, Kalani Vale in first. And of course, Kalani Vale. Meanwhile, Kalani Vale are in first. And of course, Cardiff are in second, while Terrigal Avoca, who had the bye, are in third, while Newcastle City are in fourth. And of course, Warners Bay are in fifth, Malone in 6, and Singleton are still without a win. We'll wrap it up with a play of the day after the break. Now, before we say goodbye, it's time for the play of the day, and of course, for those who couldn't say no, to a flashback, from the MotoGP, of course, my crash for Valentino Rossi. Here's one indeed. Now, anyway, that's it for Sports Tonight. My name's Conor Green McLeod. See you then.